Hello and welcome everyone. SNS Bills Talk here. Week 1 is in the books with a fantastic win that one of us watched all the way through. The other one caught the tail end. 1-0 Bills. Happy about that. Lots to not like, but we're going to ride the coattails of yay, we won. How are we feeling after week 1?
Great, just as I had predicted, a victory, because one of us was confident in our team and the other one wasn't.
Yeah, one of us went to bed and wasn't so confident in the team.
Sorry. No one knows that.
But yes, a improbable comeback, improbable win. Statistically very rare for a team to win like that. But the Bills did it nonetheless. So starting off, I think all things got to start, as always, with the Bills. Josh Allen, who the Bills essentially asked to do everything in these type of games, and he did once again Sunday. To me, it was not that he needed a statement, but he showed why he was the MVP last year. All the help that Lamar had, the open receivers, the running back running over and through people, and Josh was still able to pull out a win, making throws, making plays, just never losing his cool. And just, I think about what Joey Bosa talked about, like how he was kind of already like, man, we're going to lose. And then like seeing what happened, how Josh was.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Josh Allen game.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's one of those things for which I know that, like, as the game goes on, the defense that they're running in the fourth quarter and at the end of the game is the same defense that they're running in the first quarter. But one big thing about the end of that game is like we stopped doing those wide receiver screens. We just essentially just let Josh cut it loose, right? And I hope honestly that's more of what we see. You and I talked a couple weeks ago about like getting a fast start to the game, because that's typically we don't do that. And yeah, sure, we scored on the opening drive, partially aided by a penalty, but all in all, the first half of the game, there was plenty of just silly plays. So, yeah, I mean, as you said, an improbable victory, but I think, or I hope it's one that we learn from, in that it just comes down to you don't need to protect them. Sure, they're playing to prevent the deep passes, but if you let Allen do his thing and hurry up, like we don't run enough hurry up. You run a little hurry up, good things can happen.
And there was points in the game where you saw what Josh was able to open up and not throw the screens. And I think to the end of the first half, when they had the 23 seconds left, and up to that point, aside from that first like couple throws, like you said, it was screens and dinks and dunks. Like they didn't trust the offensive line or Josh to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Collinsworth, who I don't like, said a lot of times throughout the early part of the game, he's like, Josh has more time than he thinks he has. And it seemed like Brady was so afraid of the pass rush that he was making Josh do these sort of dink and dunk things. And then at the end of the first half, he made those two great throws to first Shakir, then Kincaid. And then when the Bills were down and seemed like out, they opened it back up and he was making the throws downfield again.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it didn't seem like they were running any different of a defense, because Baltimore was still blitzing, still doing what they were doing. Just we decided to push the ball. And like you said, hopefully we learned a lesson in a win, which is better than learning a lesson in a loss. Of you have the best player in the league. He makes everybody better. Let him play like that.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing too is, I mean, he's so smart, and he reads the defenses so well that oftentimes, you can take what the defense perceives as a strength and use it against them. And what I mean by that is, if they're bringing an extra, one more guy that you can block, well, that would obviously seem like a strength, but that also means that they don't have enough guys out in coverage most often. And so, Josh, his ability to know where that's coming from, to know, hey, I got a free rusher and I have like 1.5 seconds to get this ball out. 2, to be able to make that person miss and then 3, knowing exactly where his receiver is going to be to find him open. And I think that was highlighted by that really large catch and run that Cook had.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, and that's everyone always talks about his running his leg, and you said like his brain isn't talked about enough.
mhm.
How intelligent he is in the game. I mean, I'm sure he's intelligent otherwise, but football smart wise, he's there. And I can't go further without talking about a couple other people who stepped up on offense before he moved to defense. Keon Coleman, who had an early drop, um, was aside from Josh like a key to that win. What he was able to do, the tip pass touchdown, he had a couple big third down plays, and a couple grading services said he was like he didn't win any routes. I went back, like I saw a highlight tape of just him. Like I don't know how many people can say he didn't. Like he won a lot of routes. He showed growth from last year in terms of his ability to get separation, get open, and all through training camp, you heard like aside from a few drops here and there, like Coleman, and he showed it in this game. I know early on, like we were talking in our group text, and like, man, he made the drop, but that's not his game. And then when they finally let him do it, moving downfield, using his body, that's when he made the plays.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I think it was a great game for him to build confidence heading into the rest of the year.
Yep. No, I 100% agree. Because that first screen for which, again, like Joe, if I'm a team, I'm not hiring Joe Brady to be my head coach, right? Like he is like, unless he's pushed, like as in we're losing, he just makes some of the boneheaded, just running screen game with us makes not a lot of sense because as we know historically we've sucked at it, and 2, we don't really. I mean, outside of Shakir, we don't really have the personnel to do it, and to have Coleman do it, what a waste of a down. So again, like things that we hope happens. He didn't learn from it from last year to this year, so he probably won't learn from it next week. But open up the offense, let Josh do his thing, put the guys in position to succeed, and good things happen.
And we talked about it leading into the season. The tight end room, all 3 tight ends in this game made plays. And you and I talked about Spencer Jackson Hawes, taking over that third tackle role. And you saw some of that in the game. And then he made one of the biggest catches of the game, that seam route down to the 1-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
Players that like him stepping up. We talked about like the rookies not getting chances. He did. He made some good blocks. So just thoughts about maybe an unsung hero or two for you from this game that maybe you don't think about, but made a really key play.
You mean outside of the tight ends on offense?
Yeah, I just used him as in my example, but who, like somebody that you think back, like, man, that was a big player or two that they made.
I mean, I don't think the offensive line did great, but oh my gosh, I always blank on our guard's name, 64.
Osiris
Torrance. Yeah. There was a couple of times, and I think once or twice, Collinsworth even brought it up where he had just a really nice block to go and get some short yardage first down, or he was opening up holes. I thought he did a nice job. It just unsung. I mean, that's all I got. It was the Josh and Keon show when it showed up most, and everybody else they did their job. Shakir had 6 catches for 60 something yards.
Mm-hmm.
Palmer had 5 catches for 50 or 60 yards. Like there was a lot of just guys doing their job and being there when they needed it to be. But it really was when we needed them, the most, Josh and Keon. They were on the same page, and they're why we're 1-0 and not 0-1.
Yeah, and before I moved to defense, I also thought like Ray Davis and Ty Johnson didn't seem like much of factors in this game. And there was a couple points where I'm like, where James Cook didn't see the field, like Davis, and like, yes, I know we like to split and share things, but we just paid him to be a top back.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw with that what he did with taking that little dumps, that little swing pass like he did. He just offers more explosiveness than the other guys. And like a few runs, like you say, man, I feel like James would have done something there. That's something I'd like to see more moving forward is maybe not a huge, but like give James 60% of the plays. Split the rest of it between the other two. Let your best, he's clearly the best running back. Let him continue to make plays. Let him get in a rhythm because he's slippery. He's a threat to take it to the house every single time he gets the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. They definitely didn't have quite the impact that I had hoped, especially Ray Davis. I mean, he may have finished with negative yards. I don't know. Like he was not a factor whatsoever.
All right. So the win for a lot of people will brush over a really ugly game by the defense. I, for one, am not going to forget it. That's going to be the Achilles heel for this team. Before we get to the negative, which there's a lot of, two players I really want to point out. Ed Oliver, who played a game, probably one of his best of his career, and Joey Bosa, who, aside from a few like mental mishaps of letting Lamar outside, provided a consistent pass rush, which is what the Bills wanted out of him. He was in the backfield a lot, winning his reps. So those two quick thoughts on them before the negative of the defense.
Yeah, Ed was awesome. That sack he had of Lamar was obviously huge. His forced fumble changed the game. That's essentially why we won the game. And then just as you said, just consistent pass rushes, consistently moving the pocket. Ed was awesome, and Bosa, I think partially because he didn't get. I don't think he had a sack. So like he didn't actually finish, but you're right. I mean, he definitely put Lamar, forced him outside. It was just the fact that because, and this is what we'll get to in a minute, because the receivers were running wide open, it didn't actually matter. Or on that, third down where what they had like backed him up like 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and he escaped and got the first down. That was classic Bills. But yes, Bosa did a really nice job. I think against a slightly less athletic quarterback, he likely finishes a lot of those.
Which will be a foreshadowing for us when we talk about it. But in terms of a running threat at quarterback, it isn't going to be much easier this coming week against Justin Fields. But time for the negatives. The Bills' run defense, and really defense in general, aside from the last 3 drives of the game, was pathetic. When you think about how much resources, draft picks, free agent money, the last 3 to 4 years have been poured into that side of the ball, and to have these types of results consistently, it's one of the most frustrating parts of this era of the Bills is just their inability to get that defense to the level it needs to be against the good offenses. It's not like a one-time thing. When the Bills play good to great offenses, they don't slow them down. And it showed it again. They can't stop the run. They can't take a quarterback down, at least Lamar. And the secondary showed, like, without the pass rush, which I remember you talking about, like, hey, the pass rush will make the secondary look better. Well, they didn't this week. So, I mean, do you think that's going to be – is there any hope that the Bills get better on that side of the ball?
Not with the guys that they currently have out there. Because even if, Trey or Max come back. That wasn't the problem, right? Like, or at least that wasn't the only problem. Um, our safeties are just absolute rubbish. Um, and unless the defensive line hits home, right, it's going to be the same thing, rinse and repeat, of guys getting burnt. Now, one thing that I will say, and this is it is and it isn't a moot point. It's Derrick Henry, for obvious and not so obvious reasons, is the reason why our defense looked so bad. Because one, as you said, our run defense is miserable. Okay, it doesn't matter who we have out there. We cannot stop a really good running back. But the other big thing is that because he was so effective in the run, everybody, the linebackers and DNs, everybody bit on the play fakes, which left receivers running wide open. So I do think that moving forward, when we don't play teams that have such a formidable running back, and the Eagles are the only ones that I can think of. I know that Brees Hall, he's decent, but he's not Derrick Henry and he's not Saquon Barkley.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that as a unit, they'll perform better when they're not going against these elite running backs. But that circles back to the problem is that likely somewhere in the playoffs, if not twice, if we're lucky, we'll have to face them both. And we need to we do not have the ability to make a team one dimensional. That's what it comes down to.
And I know like this is week 1. I would rather play Kansas City in the playoffs than I would Baltimore.
Same.
Like I do not want to play Baltimore in the playoffs. Like I have zero faith that they would stop Derrick Henry in the play. Like I have more faith that they can stop Patrick Mahomes with what I saw from that offense Friday night against the Chargers. Way more faith in that than I do with the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned the safeties. Rapp he looks so slow.
Yeah.
We talked about in the past, like how slow Poyer looked last year. I mean, like the last year in Buffalo, like we were like, man, I felt like that. I saw that in Rapp. Like I hope it's not like the same, like he's going to be just a sharp decline. Bishop, I just hold out hope that he didn't play much last year. He's athletic, like holding out hope there, but I fear like we're another terrible game away from Jordan Poyer being back and starting, which is just insane.
Well, you mentioned it earlier today in our group chat, but it just comes down to at some point, Sean and Bean are going to have to acknowledge like these holes that we can't just magically fix or we can't cover it up. And yeah, as Ainsley said, we're going to have to go and fill that void. Whether it's going to be, we can't stop the run, so we go and make a big trade and get a Jeffrey Simmons type. Given how much we've spent on the defensive line, I, in a way, hope that's not the case because we have to remember Ogunjobi and Hoyt come back at some point. Or is there, which I would actually like better, is there a safety available that we can get? Because it's just so deflating. Like watching your safety just get cooked. Either it's bad angles, slow reaction time, whatever it is. But like I know Derrick Henry's fast. I know he's big and he's physical. But man, sometimes these guys, it's like they're a deer in the headlights and their feet are stuck in quicksand. And they just runs right by him. It just drives me nuts.
Yeah, and I will like Bean has done it in the past, right? When the Bills have like a really glaring hole, he'll make a move. Is it always the right move? Mari Cooper? No. Kelvin Benjamin? No.
Kelvin Benjamin.
But like in division trades aren't likely, but I wouldn't mind getting a Kyle Duggar from the Patriots, who just doesn't fit what Vrabel does, but was a Pro Bowl player for the Patriots. I know Jabril Peppers is going to sign with the Steelers because of their safety's injury. But yeah, I would agree with you that safety is definitely above defensive line, especially considering what's been invested in that.
Yeah.
Hoyt, I think, is the one that, like, this deal they signed to made it feel like he's going to be a key cog. So hopefully when he comes back, like, he makes a difference. But it's the Daquan Jones spot. It just, I would rather see Ed Oliver, T.J. Sanders, Ed Oliver, and Walker playing there than just continuing to pump Daquan Jones out there.
Well, I mean, what I honestly think is that they're going to wait because we play the Jets, the Dolphins, the Saints, the Patriots, and then we have our bye. And so if we make those teams who, I mean, granted, Justin Fields put up a bunch of points, but he's not a prolific passer. Tua looked like garbage. The Saints have nobody throwing to him, and the Patriots' passing attack didn't look awesome. And so, frankly, if we don't perform well against all, or if all, maybe one of those teams, I don't know how you don't go and get somebody, especially given the fact that our bye week, is right after the Patriots game, because pretty soon we start getting into playing Kansas City, we're playing Tampa Bay, we're playing Houston, we're playing Pittsburgh, we're playing Cincinnati, we're playing Philly, and like the back half of our schedule is, if we have such a glaring hole in the secondary, we're going to make Josh continue to have to do this, and at some point, Superman. I will not use a kryptonite thing because that's dumb, because he doesn't have any, but he might break something, right? Like at what point does he get injured because he is doing so much?
Yeah. Yeah, that's, if Josh got hurt, it would be, I would turn the game off too. If Josh, like, there's no point in watching if he gets hurt.
Be a fire sale. Like, all right, get rid of everybody now.
But yeah, I think you're right that they're going to see what these next 5 or 6 weeks plays out to be. It's not against really anybody that looks threatening. Like, I thought Miami looked like the worst team in the league easily.
Yeah.
When they played Sunday.
And
like everyone's like, the Giants. Like, no, the Giants' defense played well against the Commanders. Nothing Miami did look good. They let Daniel Jones score on every single drive.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no reason the Bills should be. I don't think the Bills should have a loss at this point heading into their Kansas City game. There's no reason there should be a loss on their docket by then.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, if there is, and they make Drake May look like the second coming of Brady, then yes, go make the move.
But that's what we do, man. That is what we do. We make these mediocre quarterbacks look awesome.
I wouldn't mind Justin Simmons, like Ainsley said, Marcus Williams, Justin Simmons available. We've brought up Justin Simmons in the past in our training camp shows.
Mm-hmm.
A, he's a known commodity, and B, like, he's going to help you in run support. Probably a lot more than Taylor Rapp is at this point.
Yeah.
But we'll move on to looking, well, last not least, kicking. Prater coming in, doing what he did, not missing a kick, including the game winner, the longest field goal before first half. Yeah, almost blocked.
I know. That was, man, I saw that live and it was just like, oh, no. That would have been the worst
way to lose.
Oh, I know.
But today, Prater was signed to the active roster instead of practice squad. So thoughts just before we move on to the Jets do you think that means Bass is out longer than originally thought, that he's not? Because everyone was thinking we're just going to sign him for a few weeks to the practice squad, save the roster spot for a few weeks till we have to sign him. But him going to the active roster today, do you think that is an indicator of Bass might be hurt worse than we thought? And are you okay with Prater, if we had to, being the kicker throughout the entire season?
So I guess I don't really know what the short term IR like. Is it a minimum of 4 weeks, but it could be 5, 6, 7, or is it okay? You got 4 weeks, and then you got to make a decision if they're going to be full time or 8 weeks or.
I'm pretty sure it's just a minimum of 4.
Okay, because in that case, I'm fine with it, right? Like I would much rather have Bass be fully healthy for when the weather turns. Because yeah, Prater, I think he's going to be solid if we're kicking in moderate weather up to mid to late October. He is a veteran and has been doing that a long time, but he is also 41 years old. So, what is his ability to cut through the wind, kick for really long distance in the Buffalo weather? So, I'm absolutely fine with it if it means that Bass is completely healthy, and when we need him in November and December to kick in the elements, Bass is available.
Yep, and the thing I just saw on Twitter, some people think the Niners had signed Eddie Pinheiro because they cut Moody. That the signing of Prater was to make sure he didn't get taken by somebody else.
Yeah.
So maybe that could be a thought there too.
Yep.
But moving on, it's Wednesday. Well, tomorrow's Wednesday. If you're listening, that's probably Wednesday out there in Radio Land. Bills go to the Jets for the first road game of the year. The Jets look surprisingly competent and competitive against the Steelers. Their defense got shredded by statue Aaron Rodgers and that offense. But their offense in the same turn made the Steelers' defense look terrible. So just your initial thoughts on our matchup against Justin Fields and the Jets.
So I'm honestly not putting that much stock into what Justin Fields did against the Jets or did against the Steelers, just because the Steelers, I think, across the board are old and slower than what we are. I think just in general, we're younger, we're faster, our players are better. Sure, we don't have a guy who's like TJ Watt, but I think that's essentially it. Like at every other position, we're better than they are. Maybe Cam Hayward in the first quarter is better than at Oliver, but like as a unit, I believe that our defense is likely better, at least our front seven. So I don't think we'll give up as many points as they did. Also, right? I mean, having just played Lamar like that, maintaining your lanes and keeping the edge, that's going to be as fresh in their mind as ever. And hopefully they'll learn from the mistakes that they just had. So I don't foresee, again, the Jets having as much offensive success against us. And then in terms of our offense, I mean, if we look at that Jets defense, right, between Sauce and Quentin Williams, I know they've drafted a bunch of guys, but they've also lost a bunch, right? Like they lost a corner in free agency, CJ Mosley. He retired, and we've seen firsthand, whether it was 4 or 5 years ago or more recently, when that dude is out, that defense does not run as well. Like he is the glue that kept that thing together. So obviously it's not going to be an easy victory for whatever it is. We always seem to let the Jets play us tough. And we either lose or we have to scrape out a win. It's what it is. But I do think it's a game that we come away with a win, and that Josh is too big of a load for them.
And to me, it's a Joe Brady game. Like, is his play calling going to be scared again, which will make us not as effective and let the Jets stay in the game? Like, if he tries these screens stuff against the Jets defense, which is fast on the outside, it's not going to work against them. They need to be they need to stick to the run game, and they need to let Josh push it down the field. The Jets are going to play more man defense than the Ravens did. That's what they do. So that's what we signed Palmer for. That's why you have more. That's why we have these guys. Let them go out and do it. And I think this will be a big game for Kincaid, a chance for him to open it up. So to me, it's Joe Brady. Like, it's what type of game is he going to call? Because like you said, like the last few years, like the first time we play the Jets, it's just it doesn't make sense of how close the games are. Like, and then in the second game, you've seen, the Bills blow them out every time in the second game. But it's like that first game, just like we don't maybe know what they're doing, or we just take them lightly or something. But that's the only thing that gives me a little bit of hesitancy is like the last 3 years, no matter who the quarterback was, like the first game of the year against the Jets is just a one-score game. Again, we're by far the better roster, better team. We'll win the division, but no slip-ups here. And then I also would like, is there any sort of emotional letdown? Like physicality-wise and emotionally, like that was about as high as you can have for week 1 in the NFL. So like the hope is that doesn't linger.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is even though their offensive line isn't supposed to be great, their offensive line did a pretty solid job last week against Pittsburgh. And Breece Hall isn't Derrick Henry, but he also is a pretty solid running back. And so is it going to be more of the same where, okay, instead of giving up runs of 30 and 50 yards, we're giving up 6 yards here, 7 yards there. And like, I will never forget the game that we played, I don't know, maybe it was like 7, 8, 10 years ago, where it was against the Saints and Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram. I felt like it was like 4 or 5 drives in a row. It was just literally like they ran the entire time and just kept scoring touchdowns. And so I somewhere in my head, once teams start doing that, like once Baltimore started doing that, it instantly comes to the forefront of like, oh man, here we go again. Except for with Derrick Henry, he's like, no, don't worry, I'm not going to nickel and dime you. I'm just going to hit you for the full dollar.
And I remember that game. That was a Sean McDermott game.
Yeah, but it was like his first year. It was a long time ago.
But yeah, like I just distinctly remember that. And McDermott has a ton of games where his defense just gets destroyed on the ground. Like he can't.
Yeah.
And I still think they have their type thing. Like they like undersized guys. Walker is kind of like one of the first people that goes against the size of what they usually draft.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so I think, I won't speak for you, but I think the Bills will win. I don't think it'll be an easy thing. I think like a 10-point win sounds about right, where like maybe a field goal we kick at the end puts it out of reach.
Yep, that was actually what I was going to say. A 10-point, like a 27-17 type of.
But it was an exciting week 1. I think across the NFL, like there was a lot of really entertaining games for opening weekend, about as good as the NFL could hope for. Like the Thursday night game was entertaining. The Friday night one came right down. Like the Chiefs had a 3rd and 14 to get the ball back, and so there was right there. The 1 o'clock games, like Steelers Jets, was probably the most entertaining game of the 1 o'clock window. 4 o'clock, you saw the Packers dominating the Seahawks Niners close, and then obviously the last 2 games, like 2 big comebacks by the winning teams to win. So
Caleb Williams sucks. That guy is awful.
Yeah, you got. I feel for Bears fans.
I do not,
because they've been bad for a long time.
To me, they're the Jets of the NFC. Screw them.
I don't know how you would have that. Like, I don't know what the Bears have ever done to you.
I don't know. I just like it. Just maybe it's because I've been to Chicago a couple of times and I hate that place. So
it could be
Bears. Oh, can I tell you that like how much I hate this? Like, and the DBs, it's like in college they do it way more often, but like it used to be the seatbelt and then the box, and now it's the like. Gosh, I hate it. Anyways,
so I know what to do on game night Friday.
Cool, I can't see you.
So for that, everybody, the Bills are 1-0. We are SNS Bills Talk. Be here every week throughout the season, talking about the Bills as the season progresses, hopefully towards a storybook ending to the year. But Josh Allen is the MVP. Josh Allen is the best. Bills are the best. And then we close it out like we always do by saying, go Bills.
Go Bills.